My name is Olivia Littleton. I've been at One More Child for 3 years, and I'm the anti-trafficking team supervisor that serves the Orlando area. I think what's different about One More Child that led me here specifically is that we are Christ-centered. So while we're serving people, we also are sharing the gospel, and that makes a difference in how we're impacting people as we provide them with resources and services. Our services with survivors are so individualized. So that means that the clients that we work with lead their services. So while we're offering all of the services that we can provide to them, they get to pick who they work with, when they work with them, how frequently they work with them, and they get to kind of drive the goals that they're working towards too. So some of our survivors have been out of exploitation for a couple of years, and they just need support on healthy parenting and getting a job. So that would be a goal for them. Some of our survivors are immediately being recovered from trafficking. So their goals would be meeting with a therapist consistently, and that's the whole goal that we have for them. Some survivors really want to kind of process through their story and use their voice to help other survivors. So then we're connecting them to programs that help them process their story in a way that's trauma-informed and safe to share with other people. So I think the first immediate need for a survivor is a team that can come alongside them, explain what they can expect, be there as they're going through all of the really scary pieces that happen after trafficking, and connect them to local resources. One More Child is often the resources that they need, right? So immediately, a survivor is going to be given tangible needs when they meet our team. They're going to be immediately met with non-judgmental, Christ-centered, loving people that are trained and trauma-informed, and will sit with them and listen to them and show up for them. And then survivors also need trauma-informed therapy with someone who is trained on working specifically with the victimization that they've experienced. And that's our therapists. And then my favorite piece, of course, is that survivors are connected to other lived experience experts. So that means that a survivor is connected to a mentor on our team that is also a survivor of trauma and can connect with them in a different way than someone who maybe hasn't experienced that trauma. There's a lot of things I think that I like people to know about my story. One of them is that survivors of human trafficking can really look like anything. So when I'm presenting to people and I share that I'm a survivor, I get jaw drops because people just don't realize that survivors can look like anybody and can be from any background. So that's the first thing, is understanding that survivors look like anybody in your community, and they can be anybody, and you might even know a survivor. Part of my trafficking happened in DC when I was a student athlete at Georgetown. So I hope that you hear that human trafficking is not somewhere else. It's in the city that you're sitting in right now. And I remember during my exploitation in college, there was a time when I got to go to the Museum of the Bible with my mom. And looking back now, I can't help but think about how even in my exploitation, there was a place where I got to feel the presence of God and His people at Museum of the Bible. I got to watch the videos of the Bible coming to life. I got to see true words of the Bible and of the gospel on the walls of this amazing place. And as I consider that, it's a picture, I think, still of God showing up for me, even in exploitation, even by putting a place in my city where I was being hurt, that I could go and hear Him and hear His voice and think about Him. And I can't help but just think about kind of the full circle there as I consider now where I'm at and I look back on my exploitation in DC. My childhood, my teenage years, my young adult years were full of trauma and exploitation and people using me and lying to me. And now getting to sit here with 3 years of experience working at One More Child, with hundreds of survivors that have trusted me with their story, I can't help but kind of consider how God was there through all of that. Because without a survivor story that I now get to say, you know, this is my story, and connect with a survivor when they're recovered from law enforcement, then, you know, maybe they would never be ready for services if they hadn't met with me and I got to share my story. And also, what a beautiful thing it is that God has taken my story of really hard trauma and lots of scared nights and lots of abuse and now given me a platform. I think our God is He's so big, but He's been in the details of my story the whole time too.